Good morning, everybody. I'm here from Cozy Creative Center in El Cajon. And hello! And I want to show you my latest quilt. It's called Teardrops. Is it very pretty? Thank you. It's a design by Georgette Dell'Orco. That's my mom. So you know it's a good quilt because she does some of our best quilts. If you know our patterns, you may think, this looks vaguely familiar. If our pattern Hanging Gardens had a baby, it would be Teardrops. So it looks a little familiar to Hanging Gardens. And I may have that quilt to show you at the end of this presentation. It is one simple block set on point. So if you're looking at it and you see sashing, you don't. It's actually in the block. I'm going to show you how to put it together. By setting it on point and the block being directional, it also means we have to build out setting triangles and cut them down. So you have one main block, but you also have 8 different setting triangles to make this whole. It's not hard. I have written the pattern in full color, and I've color-coded those different pieces. So when you get your Teardrops pattern, you will see with color coding how easy it is to put together. Just follow the steps. And my biggest tip is label. Label your blocks, all of them, and then you'll put it together nice and easy. You want to see how it comes together? Sure. All right, so first of all, it starts with 2.5-inch strips. This set of 2.5-inch strips is a collection of blues. Isn't it pretty? And then it's one background fabric. So if you have a collection of 2.5-inch strips, just pick a background fabric and your borders, and you're on your way to make the quilt. The pattern is written in multiple sizes. Yeah, and steps, thank you, yeah. You know we like to do our patterns in multiple sizes so that when you want to make it bigger or smaller than the one I have, I've already done the math. I sometimes work at the cutting station in the shop, and I'm not good doing math on my feet. So anything I can do ahead of time, I will have done and put in the pattern. So this pattern has a lap, a throw, twin, and queen, so 4 different sizes. It doesn't have a king because a king gets to be 116 inches by 116 inches. Who here wants to make a quilt 116 inches by 116? I was pretty certain, of course.
I don't want to quilt it though.
You don't want to quilt it though. Well, and that's the big thing. I think you have limitations when you get to a quilt that size. So you can't fit on your long arm. You'd have to quilt it by hand. I don't know if you heard the squeals in the back of quilting a 116 by 116 by hand. If you are familiar with our patterns, most of the time I try to provide all of the bed sizes or close to the bed sizes. If that bed size is not listed, as king is not listed here, it's probably because it doesn't really fit into that size. We're working with a block that is fairly large, and when you set it on point, it goes exponentially wider. So you're limited by, you can't find that sweet spot if a block is extra wide. That's why if you made a king, it would be 116 by 116. All right, enough about that talk. Let's get on with the block, shall we? This one we have up here on the wall is a twin, and it calls for 41 strips. If you're working with a bundle that has 40 strips, just get a little extra border fabric and throw that in with your strips, and now you have 41 strips. If you're working with a strip bundle that has, as this did, a bunch of light fabrics, and in our case, those light fabrics blend with the background fabric, we pulled them out and we didn't use them in the quilt. So our strip bundle started from very light blues to dark blues. We pulled out those very, very light blues so that the pattern will continue to have contrast when the strip hits the background fabric. So a print strip on background, we want contrast. Okay, I'll show you the block, the main block, and then I'll show you how to put it together. This is our main block. Do you notice my flannel wall is extra wide today? We have extra fancy demo for you today. Did I do that right? Yes, I think so. Okay? In a single block, now here our background fabric is yellow. In this single block, there are 3 print fabrics. We have the moss green as one print fabric, the light blue, and then the beautiful rich blue as the 3rd fabric. So that's the block. What you want to do is separate out and cut your pieces into A for your strips. This is A. Okay, the colors are going to be different than my sample. Well, maybe, do I have one? And then we want to separate into B. A will become these two segments and these three squares. B will become these two pieces, and then we need a third collection of print fabric C. And once you cut them, keep them organized. C will be a set of two sections like that. B, two matching fabrics like that. A, some squares. Okay, so the first thing you do is get your strips. You cut them into your groups of A, groups of B, and groups of C. And then you'll cut your background fabric. Series of squares, rectangles, it's all listed in the pattern. Keep your stuff labeled and keep it organized, and everything will come together beautifully. Once you have this, you need to assemble your block. My block. My block right here. Follow the pictures. I try to make really nice pictures so that it's easy to follow. Print square, background square, sew together, add a rectangle of background. And then just as we do, oh, my mic went out. Yep, yep, sorry, dead batteries, hold on. So I've now changed the battery, and for the record, I put new batteries in my easy stash over there so that I'm ready for next time for this to go out. We were just talking about how the quality of the videos has improved over the years. Our very, very, very first video that we did, like it was on, I don't know, okay. I don't know what happened, but we had 3 flies in the store. And they were buzzing around between me and the camera. Like the entire time. Like, we never have flies in the store, but on that one video, there's like 3 flies that keep buzzing around. So we've improved. Hopefully, we've improved over the years. Now that we have professional help, I know you guys are saying I need professional help. That's okay. Okay, where was I? Do you ever get distracted in your sewing room? Okay, so we have created this using the A segments. We're also going to complete the outer pieces but not attach them yet. So I'm going to move this. Actually, right? You don't need those there anymore. Okay, an A segment and then a background segment. Wait, we don't need that yet. Okay, then our B segments. We just need to add a background square to our B segments, and we're simply growing the block out. Did I do that right? No. Wait. No, it's okay. I know what I'm doing. No, I don't know what I'm doing. Shorter strip. Okay, wait. Okay, so here are my pieces that I've already sewn together and kept myself very organized. See, I can see what's happening already. Right? Can you see it? All right, so these two clearly go together. Right? Those two clearly go together. That doesn't go together. And that's when you refer to the picture. God. See, it's because my battery went out. Totally refer to the picture. Right? Yes. And then I need another segment. Okay? So as we grow, we're going to make our block. And I'll step out of the way in just a second so you can see it. It's good? Am I missing something? Well, it's not sewn together, so when it sews together, it'll become compact. The key thing is, when you're making your block, In the top left corner, you have 3 drops, 3 teardrops of the same color. And on the bottom, you have 3 teardrops of background fabric. If you've accomplished that, you've accomplished everything you need to make the main block, well, and put the rest of the pieces together. You've accomplished, keep an eye on these 3 top dots that are all the same print fabric, because that is going to be the top of your block. If you see that as your top of your block, everything else will fall into place. So here's our main block. I'm going to show you how to put the pieces together for a lap. A lap is 5 blocks, 2 across, 2 down, and 1 in the center. So I'm going to remove all of this and show you how to put it together, and then show you the different components of the different setting triangles. Are you ready? Yep. Am I ready? So I don't know if you can see from where you are. I have a little piece of tape there, and it's actually pinned because I'm moving stuff around. Little painter's tape, it says main. I know this is a main block. I went ahead and did this for all of them, even though clearly a main is a main. It's a square block. Still, I know. Okay. And be careful when you have pins, because they can stick you. The first thing you do is lay out your main blocks, and then you're going to fill in the corners for the other blocks, for the setting blocks. Is it crooked? Clear? It's okay. Main block, main block, main, main, main. So this is the layout for the main blocks for the lap size. If you're making a different size, it just gets bigger from here, but the concept is the same. I have this marked. Top setting triangle. So this triangle, which is the same components of the main block, only we build out some of the pieces and we skip other pieces. Oh no. I was just talking to John Michael, who does our videotaping, and I said, we need to do a bloopers reel. I didn't realize I was going to do it today. All right, I told you the 3 teardrops are on the top, and once you have that, that's your main block. Everybody can use an extra hand. Oh, is that a groaner? Okay. Oh. I got it. Okay. Top. So do you see how this is a triangle that's made of the same basic components as the main block, only we don't take it all the way to make it a square. And actually some of those pieces are bigger than the main block. Because your triangle has to be bigger than your main block, we're going to trim it down. That's what a setting triangle is. It needs to go a little bit bigger. It does have to be custom pieced. So that triangle is very different than our side setting triangle. And I'm not going to walk through all of it with you because the pictures are so great. You'll see them in the pattern. I'm just going to show you how to put it together. Those are the sides. This triangle is different than that triangle. Okay, now I'm going to do bottom. It is not the same as the top because remember, there are three dots, the 3 teardrops make the top. We don't have that here. We have 3 background drops, big background squares. So in the bottom here, 3 teardrops. That makes the bottom setting triangle. So the bottom is different than the side, which is different than the top. And then we just need the corner triangles, which are also a little bit different. And it's important to know that they mirror each other. Those 2 are not the same as each other. But I mentioned that everything is color-coded in the pattern, and as long as you have the markings. My little marking here says BS-L, bottom setting left. My other one says BS-R, bottom setting right. This one says side L, the other one says side R. So when I know that I have all of these together, I can take all those little pieces of tape off. I do have corners, top corners to put together, But you're going to laugh at me because I can't reach them. So give me just a minute. Okay. TSL, that must go over here. And then TSR, that must go over here. Once you have the layout, take a picture with your camera. Because a camera will do what people used to do a long time ago. Now we don't need that anymore. But it will shrink everything into a vision that you can see easily, like in the palm of your hand. It is one of the best ways to find your mistakes in a quilt. Take a picture with your cell phone, look at it, make sure everything fits into place. Once you like it, I actually would not pull these off until it's sewn together. Because I don't know about you, but when I take something from the design wall or my floor to my sewing machine, it moves. Some sort of magic happens and it shifts and I sew two wrong edges together. You will sew these 3 pieces together to make a single row. So your rows are diagonal. You'll sew these pieces together. No, not the corners go on last. So you'll sew these 3 pieces to make a row. And then these pieces. So then you'll have 3 diagonal rows. Sew those rows together. Trim any edges that aren't flush with your with the block you're attaching it to, and the pattern will tell you where. Then you're going to add the corners, 1, 2, 3, 4. At that point, press it, make sure you like it. Then you can trim away the excess fabric to turn it into a square or a rectangle. So we built it out bigger than we need to be, then we're going to trim it down. So you take your ruler. When you take the ruler, you want these to become half diamonds. Here in the quilt, do you see here? So you will cut a 1/4 inch away from that point. Put your ruler there and trim. And then you have your quilt top. Then you add your borders. 1, 2, 3 borders. In our case, we used a light gray that had a little contrast to the white. A nice blue that corresponds beautifully with the outer border blue. Put the 3 quilts together, have our twin quilt. And what I'm hearing a lot of it's masculine, so it's guy friendly. So, and that's because of the colors. Right. But it's also not a starry or very florally designed too, so. And that's how you make teardrops. Yes, ma'am.
Did you try doing it with just the squares?
So the question, so why not make a giant main square, put it on, and then trim? You would not trim and get these pretty triangles.
No, I understand that, but I'm just saying put it more square instead of on point.
Make this quilt instead of on point. You would not have a teardrop effect. What you would have is almost a courthouse steps or a log cabin effect because it'd be very square. Very pretty. Yeah, it could be very lovely. I didn't find it as nice as this one, so that's why I went with this one. A little more work with the setting triangles, but absolutely. I mean, it's a big square. It's a lovely square. And you can twist and turn those squares to get different effects too. Mm-hmm. Would you like to see it in another colorway? Yes. I'd love a holder. Wait, we got to make sure we do it right side up because now they know what's up and down. I've taught them. No, that's wrong.
That's wrong.
Yeah, that's right.
Sunshine.
Pretty? So here we have a lap. So it's the same thing that I have going on the wall behind me. 5 blocks, the different setting triangles. What's nice is you can see what I did on the wall and how it can turn into a quilt. Clearly it's different fabrics. Very pretty collection of batiks that are rainbow colored. Mm-hmm. It's nice. Okay. paparazzi's still here, so we've just another minute. Do you have it? Do you want me to drop my hand?
So what's interesting too is
Lap.
this is a circular quilting, and that one is
Oh, so you're looking at the quilting. Do you notice the swirls in here? And the quilting in that one is very angular. It's very square.
And I like you hardly see angular quilting.
Yes. That is a quilter's niche, pro stitcher quilting design, as I'm sure this one is too. Quilting, quilting is another layer of what makes our quilts so wonderful. Are your arms getting tired?
I'm good.
Yeah, you okay? We have another one to show them.
What? Oh. Should we show them the next one?
It's right side up, right? I got it right? You know now because of those 3 teardrops, right? Okay, 1, 2, 3, that's up. If you got that, it's good. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, that's up. All right. So I talked about the Hanging Gardens quilt. Would you like to see the original Hanging Gardens quilt? Because I know you're dying to see, well, it's familiar, but why and how? And thank you, Jackie. It's so nice of you to make this for us.
Are we up or down?
I don't know. We know there is an up and down with this one. Oh, that's sideways.
Oh, we'll get there eventually. Is this right?
I think that's it. Yeah. Okay. Okay. You got a corner. This is going to be your corner. It's my corner.
I think
Okay.
so. Okay, we ready?
Can you step over to the right as far as you can go, but don't fall off.
I'll try not to.
So you see similarity in the block. Kind of has that teardrop effect.
Yeah.
But now we have sashing, we have cornerstones, we have more going on in the borders. This is one of my favorite borders, this pieced diamond border. And what's really, what's the word? Cool, sure, let's go. It's not forgiving. What's really forgiving about the this pieced inner border is those diamonds are just in the center. So you build out the rest of the border to get to your edges. You never have to worry about piecing those diamonds exactly to match your border. Also one of my mom's designs, Georgette Dell'Orco, and it's been one of our top selling patterns. It was one of the very first patterns we came out with when we started to do Strip Club back in 2004.
What is this one?
This is called Hanging Gardens. Yeah. And I tell you, you guys, you should do this. This is fun. Like Google best quilts, Pinterest or something like that. This quilt will come up time and time again. And here it is in the flesh. You see the similarities, right? Yep. But it's different enough, right?
Oh, yes.
So same genes, same genetics, but a different quilt. If Hanging Gardens had a baby, it might be Teardrops.
So we need to combine Teardrop Center with the Hanging Gardens border.
You could do that, Teardrops with a Hanging Garden border. The border is fun to piece. It's seminal piecing. It's a lot of fun to do. So the Hanging Garden pattern has that instruction. So now you need to buy 2 patterns. Writing down. Right, 1 pattern. 1 pattern because I gave you this pattern because you're here at my shop to give me an audience for this video. Yes, ma'am.
What is seminal piecing or border or whatever you said?
Seminal piecing, I don't know how to explain it, but you offset, you do a couple of different pieces. So in this case, it'll be a background in squares, background, print square background, and then you offset it.
Oh,
And then you trim.
okay.
And there's so many things you can do with that. Yeah, it's very neat. Any questions? Any other questions? Fun?
Yes.
Good time today? All right, Teardrops, designed by Georgette Dell'Orco. Her quilting design too. So the quilting you see in here is hers. The quilting you saw in the one we held up with the swirls, also hers. This fabric is my next collection with Timeless Treasures called Tonga Soleil. That should be shipping soon. Bright, sunshiny, happy. Soleil like the sun. Okay, well, if there's no questions, shall we call it a day and then do it again next month for another pattern that uses 2.5-inch strips?